I'd like Hiromu to tell us a little bit something about pop culture. This is Hiromu's very recently minted book. It's called Tokyo Boogie Woogie, Japan's Pop Era and Its Discontents. Hiromu's a very lucky historian. When I was beginning, you never could have written a thesis or a book on Boogie Woogie, for God's sakes. I mean, that would have been so beyond the pale. You were supposed to do constitutional law or something like that. So Hiromu is the whole new generation of scholars who are really tuned in to pop culture, mass culture, consumer culture, grassroots dynamics. Tell us what that world was like as you immersed yourself in it.
Sure. I agree. I consider myself to be lucky to have pursued the research that I've been able to do. And the book looks, on the one hand, at how Japan's pop music industry starts, how basically canned industrial music production begins in Japan. And then the main part of the book is really about a story of how people react to it, and how people wrestle with the ideas of what is good music. Is it Western music? If so, what kind of Western music? Do we want any Japanese elements to stay within that kind of music tradition? Do we want people to consume Japanese music? If so, what is Japanese music? And I trace the politics of that, and it's really, in other words, about the major themes that we've been talking about cosmopolitanism, about what kinds of modernity do we want. And I think this set of images in this module is, I think, especially great in thinking through these issues because, on the one hand, the topic of these woodblock prints are things like dance halls and movie theaters and very quintessentially modern media. And of course, this is a period, 1920s and 1930s, where a web of mass media from mass publishing industry that instead of targeting tens of thousands of readership are now targeting millions of readers. And you also see the rise of recording industry, radio, film on a larger scale, creating this web of mass media that many of us by now have come accustomed to. That world begins to appear in Japan during these decades. But these woodblock prints meditate on those new media using a very traditional medium. And so I see this as another attempt, like the example we've seen with Koizumi Kishio earlier, of thinking through what's happening in Tokyo, what's happening in Japan during this period, using an ostensibly traditional medium, but using it to think through very contemporary, very modern developments.